Okay, so you want to become a chef. Every great meal begins with a moment that almost nobody sees. Not the sizzling pan, not the beautifully plated dish, not the smiling diners taking photos before their first bite. It begins hours earlier, in a kitchen that's already hot before the sun comes up. Crates of vegetables arrive through the back door. Fish are inspected one by one. Stocks that have been simmering overnight are checked. Knives are sharpened. Prep lists are taped to the wall. Someone is already peeling 50 pounds of onions, and someone else has burned themselves before breakfast. This is the world behind one of the most romanticized professions on earth. Ask a child what a chef does, and they'll probably describe someone who creates incredible food. Ask someone who watches cooking competitions, and they'll imagine dramatic countdowns, artistic plating, and celebrity judges. Ask a chef after a 14-hour shift, and you'll hear a very different answer. Because cooking is only a small part of becoming a chef. The real job is built on pressure, repetition, discipline, leadership, business, endurance, and an almost obsessive commitment to doing the same simple things perfectly, thousands of times in a row. That's the part most people never see. And that's exactly what it really takes to become a chef. For centuries, cooking was viewed as necessity rather than artistry. Families cooked because they had to, royal courts employed cooks because someone needed to prepare elaborate feasts. Restaurants as we know them today barely existed. Everything changed in the 19th and 20th centuries. Professional kitchens became organized like military units. Every station had a purpose, every cook had a role. Precision replaced improvisation, systems replaced chaos. That structure still exists today. Walk into a Michelin-starred restaurant, a luxury hotel, a cruise ship, or even a busy neighborhood bistro, and you'll probably find the same hierarchy. At the top is the executive chef, responsible not only for food, but often the entire operation. Beneath them might be a head chef or chef de cuisine, followed by sous chefs, station chefs, pastry chefs, line cooks, prep cooks, and kitchen assistants. It resembles an orchestra more than an art studio. One person can't create hundreds of perfect meals alone. Success depends on every individual performing their role at exactly the right moment. Which leads to one of the biggest misconceptions about this profession. People assume chefs spend their day inventing recipes. In reality, creativity occupies surprisingly little of the average workday. Consistency is king. If someone falls in love with a particular pasta dish on Friday, it needs to taste identical on Saturday, next week, and 6 months from now. That level of consistency is extraordinarily difficult. A steak isn't just cooked, it has to reach the exact internal temperature, rest for the correct amount of time, receive the proper seasoning, and arrive at the table while every accompanying component is still at its peak. Multiply that by 100 customers in one evening. Now imagine every order arriving at different times, with different modifications, allergies, dietary restrictions, and cooking preferences. Suddenly, the kitchen begins to look less like a creative playground and more like an air traffic control center. Timing becomes everything. One delayed pan can throw off an entire service. One forgotten garnish can force multiple plates back into the kitchen. One mistake during a busy Saturday night can cost thousands in wasted ingredients and disappointed customers. That's why professional kitchens place such enormous emphasis on preparation. The phrase mise en place literally means everything in its place. But within the culinary world, it represents something much larger. Before the first customer even enters, vegetables are chopped, sauces prepared, proteins portioned, herbs picked, desserts assembled, stations organized, equipment checked, towels folded, and ingredients labeled. The smoother the preparation, the calmer the service. When preparation fails, chaos follows. Ironically, many aspiring chefs underestimate this part because TV rarely shows it. Watching someone dice onions for 3 hours doesn't make compelling entertainment. But those repetitive hours build the muscle memory that later makes impossible-looking dinner services possible. This raises another question people often ask. Do you actually need culinary school? The answer isn't as straightforward as many expect. Unlike becoming a doctor or an airline pilot, there isn't one universal path into professional kitchens. Some chefs spend 2 to 4 years in prestigious culinary institutes. Others begin washing dishes at 16 and slowly work their way through every kitchen position until they're running restaurants themselves. Both paths can produce exceptional chefs. Culinary school offers structure. Students learn knife skills, baking, sauces, butchery, food safety, nutrition, menu planning, sanitation, costing, and classical techniques. Many programs also teach restaurant management, wine pairing, purchasing, and inventory control. Perhaps most importantly, they provide an environment where mistakes become lessons instead of disasters during a packed dinner service. But culinary school is expensive. Depending on the country and institution, tuition can range from several $1,000s to well over 50,000. Graduation doesn't make someone an executive chef. It usually qualifies them for exactly the same entry-level kitchen positions as someone without a degree. Experience remains the industry's real currency. This surprises many newcomers. After years of study, they may still spend months preparing vegetables, cleaning seafood, organizing refrigerators, or making the same sauce every single day. Not because nobody trusts them, because repetition builds speed. Speed under pressure separates professionals from hobbyists. Imagine practicing the piano. Playing one difficult piece beautifully once isn't enough. You need to play it flawlessly every single performance. Cooking works the same way. A chef isn't judged by their best plate. They're judged by their thousandth. Now picture your first real dinner rush. Orders begin arriving. Then even more tickets hang from the printer faster than anyone can read them. Multiple tables order simultaneously. Someone has a severe nut allergy. Their customer sends back a steak because it's overcooked. A fryer suddenly stops working. A server drops an entire tray. Someone calls in sick. The kitchen temperature climbs above 40 degrees Celsius. Nobody stops. Nobody presses pause. The customers still expect dinner. This is where many aspiring chefs discover whether they truly enjoy the profession. Because pressure changes everything. Some people freeze. Others become overwhelmed. Some discover they perform better than ever. Professional kitchens demand an unusual combination of speed and precision. Working faster while becoming less accurate helps nobody. Working perfectly but too slowly doesn't work either. Finding the balance takes years. And that balance isn't just physical, it's mental. Chefs constantly prioritize which dishes must leave first, which sauces need attention, which station requires help, which ingredients are running low, what's happening in the dining room, how long has table 12 been waiting. Every decision affects someone else. Leadership quietly begins long before someone receives the title of head chef. In fact, one of the biggest promotions isn't about cooking at all, it's about managing people. Many excellent cooks struggle once they're responsible for a team. Suddenly, they're training new employees, resolving conflicts, writing schedules, controlling labor costs, maintaining morale, negotiating with suppliers, ensuring food safety compliance, responding to customer complaints, and protecting profit margins. A restaurant can serve extraordinary food and still fail financially. Margins are famously thin. Food costs fluctuate constantly. Utilities increase, equipment breaks, ingredients spoil. Staff turnover remains one of the industry's biggest challenges. Running a kitchen eventually becomes as much about mathematics as gastronomy. Take a simple pasta dish. The chef doesn't just think about flavor. How much does every ingredient cost? How much labor goes into preparation? How long does it take during service? Will customers pay enough to make it profitable? Can ingredients overlap with other menu items to reduce waste? Can the kitchen consistently produce it during peak hours? One beautiful recipe can become a terrible business decision. That's why experienced chefs often think differently from enthusiastic home cooks. At home, adding expensive ingredients occasionally isn't a major concern. A restaurant serving hundreds of portions every week, small differences become enormous expenses. This financial reality shapes almost every menu, but kitchens are changing. Technology now plays a surprisingly large role. Digital inventory systems track ingredients in real time. Temperature sensors monitor refrigerators overnight. Reservation software predicts customer demand. Data helps chefs understand which dishes sell best and which quietly lose money. Even so, technology hasn't replaced the essential human element. Taste still matters. Judgment still matters. Experience still matters. Perhaps nothing illustrates experience better than developing a palate. Great chefs taste constantly, not because they're hungry. Because flavors change throughout cooking, acidity shifts, salt becomes more concentrated, textures evolve, heat transforms ingredients chemically. Recognizing those subtle differences takes years. Wine experts train their senses. Coffee professionals do the same. Chefs build an equally refined understanding of flavor. Eventually, they begin predicting how ingredients will behave before they even enter the pan. That's difficult to teach. It's learned through thousands of meals. Then there's failure. Every accomplished chef has horror stories. Burned sauces, collapsed soufflés, overcooked seafood, broken emulsions, entire dinner services gone wrong. Restaurants opening to terrible reviews. The public often celebrates successful chefs while forgetting how many mistakes built their expertise. Failure isn't unusual. It's unavoidable. The question becomes whether someone learns from it. Another challenge rarely discussed is physical endurance. Professional kitchens are demanding workplaces, hours spent standing. Heavy pots lifted repeatedly, constant exposure to heat, steam, sharp knives, open flames, slippery floors. Burns become almost routine. Small cuts are common. Back pain develops over time. Comfortable shoes become surprisingly important. Many chefs joke that footwear is one of the best investments they'll ever make. Then come the hours. Most office workers finish just as restaurant kitchens become busiest. Friday evenings, Saturday nights. Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year's Eve, Mother's Day, the occasions when families celebrate often become mandatory workdays. Maintaining relationships outside hospitality can be challenging because schedules rarely align. Some chefs adapt well, others eventually leave for industries offering more predictable lifestyles. This contributes to one of hospitality's highest turnover rates. Yet, people continue entering the profession. Why? Because few careers offer such immediate feedback. Within minutes, someone experiences the result of your work. A memorable anniversary dinner, a marriage proposal, a family reunion, a traveler discovering an entirely new cuisine. Food connects deeply with memory. Chefs become part of moments people remember for years. That emotional connection keeps many professionals passionate despite the demands. As careers progress, opportunities expand, some remain in restaurants, others enter hotels, resorts, luxury cruise ships, private yachts, hospitals, universities, corporate dining, catering companies, airlines, food manufacturing, product development, consulting, education, TV, publishing, or entrepreneurship. The title chef covers an astonishing variety of careers. Pastry chef's day differs dramatically from a sushi chef's. A banquet chef manages enormous production. A private chef focuses on personalized experiences. A research chef develops products appearing later in supermarkets. The profession evolves constantly. Global travel has accelerated that evolution. Ingredients once considered exotic now appear in ordinary supermarkets. Fusion cuisine has become common. Techniques spread rapidly through social media. Young chefs today learn from mentors on the opposite side of the planet without leaving home. That access creates incredible opportunity. It also creates intense competition. Standing out has never been harder. Customers have higher expectations than ever before. Beautiful presentation alone isn't enough. Flavor matters. Storytelling matters. Sustainability matters. Dietary flexibility matters. Restaurants increasingly accommodate vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, halal, kosher, and allergy-conscious diners simultaneously. Chefs must adapt without compromising quality. Environmental responsibility has also become a major consideration. Reducing waste isn't just ethical, it's financial. Many modern kitchens rethink how ingredients are used. Vegetable scraps become stocks. Bread becomes breadcrumbs. Bones become broths. Peels become garnishes. Creativity increasingly involves reducing waste rather than adding luxury. Then there's social media. A generation ago, a chef's reputation depended mostly on local diners and professional critics. Today, one photograph can reach millions. One negative review can spread overnight. One viral video can transform an unknown restaurant into an international destination. Visibility has increased, so has pressure. Many chefs now balance cooking with marketing, interviews, branding, photography, partnerships, and online engagement. Running a successful restaurant increasingly requires understanding both cuisine and communication. Money is another area surrounded by myths. Celebrity chefs create the impression that cooking leads to wealth. The reality is much more nuanced. Entry-level kitchen positions often pay modest wages depending on the country, region, and establishment. Many new cooks earn roughly the equivalent of local service industry salaries while gaining experience. As responsibilities grow into sous chef and head chef roles, annual incomes can increase substantially, commonly reaching the equivalent of around $50,000 to well over $100,000 in many developed markets, while executive chefs at prestigious hotels, luxury restaurants, or successful restaurant groups may earn considerably more. Those who own thriving businesses, build recognizable brands, publish books, consult, or appear in media can earn far beyond traditional salaries, but they represent a small fraction of the profession. For most chefs, financial success comes slowly. Years of experience usually matter far more than viral popularity. Perhaps the greatest shift occurs when a chef finally understands that cooking isn't about themselves. Beginners often focus on proving their talent, experienced chefs focus on serving others. The question changes from what do I want to cook to what experience do I want people to have? That difference transforms menus. It influences service, it shapes leadership, it even changes how criticism is received. Feedback becomes information rather than personal attack. Growth accelerates. Another quality quietly separates exceptional chefs from average ones. Curiosity. The best chefs rarely stop learning. They travel, taste unfamiliar cuisines, read extensively, study fermentation, practice baking, learn chemistry, experiment with regional traditions, talk to farmers, understand seasonal ingredients. Every new experience becomes another tool they can use later. They realize mastery isn't reaching a destination. It's remaining curious long after everyone assumes you've arrived. Ironically, the more accomplished chefs become, the simpler many of their dishes appear. That's not because simplicity is easy, it's because hiding imperfections becomes impossible. Anyone can cover mistakes beneath dozens of ingredients. Cooking a perfect omelet reveals everything. Perfect bread reveals everything. Perfect roast chicken reveals everything. Simple food exposes technique. Technique reflects discipline. If there's one invisible ingredient behind every successful culinary career, it's consistency. Not inspiration, not talent, consistency, showing up every day. Improving incrementally, repeating fundamentals until they become instinct. Accepting criticism, remaining calm under pressure. Leading when others panic, learning after every mistake. Over time, these ordinary habits produce extraordinary chefs. So what does it really take to become a chef? It takes far more than learning recipes. It takes accepting that your day will often begin before customers wake up and end long after they've gone home. It means understanding that the glamorous moments seen on TV are supported by countless unseen hours of preparation, cleaning, organizing, tasting, correcting, and starting over. It requires physical endurance, emotional resilience, technical precision, financial awareness, and the humility to keep learning no matter how experienced you become. Some people enter the kitchen chasing creativity and fame. Others dream of opening the next great restaurant or seeing their name on a cookbook. Those ambitions can certainly become reality. But the chefs who endure, the ones who build lasting careers and earn the respect of their peers, usually discover that the profession isn't defined by recognition at all. It's defined by service, by quietly creating moments people remember without ever seeing the work that made them possible. Because in the end, becoming a chef isn't really about mastering food. It's about mastering yourself, one service, one plate, and one relentless day at a time.